I want to talk about the Dai. It's something that's been very close to my heart. It's been going on in the background for 3 years, guys. So a lot of you know, are witnessing new ICOs come out every day, and they've got a white paper and an idea. Maker is an extremely complex project. It's been working very hard behind the scenes for 3 years, and they're finally rolling out, you know, the first iteration, I guess, where we can use Ethereum to back Dai. But there's so much to look forward to in the future. So, okay, so no, it wasn't 2 videos back to back, Zoophobia. I just mucked around with the titles and whatnot. So we've got a few tuning in now. I will talk about the Maker, we'll talk about Dai, we'll talk about how you can create Dai versus how you can just buy a Dai and use Dai, the same as you can buy Tether or use Tether. We'll talk about other stable coins. I want to just mention some good news announcements we've had today as well. So to start off with, guys, you know, it was a big day. I did my US Senate hearing summary. Check that out if you haven't already. You know, the heavy Falcon rocket and Elon Musk, those guys going in space. This isn't Photoshop. That's a test dummy in a Tesla sports car that's on its way to Mars. Guys, crazy stuff. We live in the future. POWR Ledger today, guys. So POWR Ledger and US-based clean energy, not-for-profit help answers have today announced an agreement to bring peer-to-peer renewable energy trading to North America. So, guys, POWR Ledger continues to pen deals. You know, that basic saying I've got, that good projects have good announcements, and we shouldn't be surprised. So, I've got my 2-part of my POWR Ledger visit where we went to their headquarters in Western Australia. Absolutely love this one, guys. One of my favourite projects. And there was also an article that came out today in the Australian Financial Review talking about how POWR Ledger themselves are surprised when the price of their coin falls 60 or 70%, when the price of Bitcoin falls 60 or 70%. The fact is, yes, they're both using blockchain technology, but that's about all I've got in common, okay, guys? So unfortunately, we've spoken on the channel a lot about how these things all fall under the umbrella of cryptocurrency. People that don't know what they're talking about just say that it's all a bubble, and so be it. Hopefully, if you subscribe to this channel, you're a little bit more educated and you understand that these things are independent. So just quickly, guys, if you're in Sydney, a free meetup tomorrow. We're hoping to get between 500 and 1,000 people for this FX meetup. We'll be talking about ICOs, regulation, and an Australian project, Haven, that's also doing another stable coin. So, you know, it's going to fit in with that what I'm talking about tonight. They're doing a stable coin of a different kind. So I'll cover that on the channel if you guys are interested in that as well. But the more stable coins, the better. And Maker is a very complex coin. So let's dive into Maker now. So Maker is the project and the governance coin. So a lot of you are probably familiar with how projects, you know, we have Neo and Gas, or we have POWR Ledger and Sparks. So a lot of you are familiar with how we have one sort of coin in the platform. Maker is used to pay all the fees, just like we use Ethereum to pay all the fees. But then the Dai is the stable coin, okay? So there's 2 parts that confuse people with Dai. One is they're talking about Dai being created and how you can, you know, have these loans where you put, you can create Dai and have it fully backed, and we'll talk about that. But the more simplistic role of Dai is just that stable coin. So, you know, all the issues we've seen with Tether about, you know, is Tether backed 100%? Does it have that money in the bank? You know, you can use Dai as a stable coin. It's all on the blockchain, and we know for 100% certainty what is backing it, how much over collateralization they have, because they don't want a one-to-one backing. They want more, okay? So if price fluctuates, they always want to be covered, and we'll talk about how this works. So I'll just whiz through this article very quickly. You know, Maker are trying to create this Dai stable coin suitable for payments. The Maker token is a governance token, and again, it has a big role in determining what assets we want to allow to have backing Dai. So, you know, think about Tether, how we have supposedly 100% backing of US dollars in a bank. If you own Maker, you can vote that, yeah, we want to add DigX, like we did the other day. DigX, the gold-backed coin, we think having 100% gold-backed coin is a very safe option to back the DAI and have more stability. And in the future, we'll have more and more projects. You know, I'm sure they're looking to maybe add Bitcoin in the future, real commodities, as we spoke about. So silver's probably next, and then who knows. So that governance token, you know, it's necessary to pay all the fees. And we'll talk about this other mechanism that's slightly complicated about recapitalization of the system. So how does this work in terms of recapitalization? So, you know, this is pretty complicated here, this dashboard, but the first example I just want to use of what, when and where you might use DAI. So you might just want to go to a decentralized exchange. I'm sure DAI will be coming to centralized exchanges, but at the moment you can buy DAI, you know, on Ether Delta, or I think you can still buy it on Oasis DEX, but sometimes there's a couple of steps. As you guys know, I've spoken about Radar Relay, another decentralized exchange, you know, OKX, there's more and more coming. So sometimes you do have to wrap your Ethereum, and all that means is that you're turning your Ethereum from its normal form of Ether into an ERC20 token. It just gives it more functions, and it means it can interact with all these different Ethereum smart contracts, you know, with exchanges and all that sort of thing. So don't get confused when you see WF. It just means that you've wrapped your Ethereum, you've just turned it into a form that gives it a couple more functions. It's still Ethereum, it's still worth one-to-one, all that sort of thing. Now PETH, again, it sounds confusing. What is it? It just means that you've pooled your ETH. So in these, when we want to create some DAI, if we want to create $1,000 of DAI, and there are, again, incentives for doing this and creating more of a stable coin. So rather than Tether and, you know, Bitfinex having the, you know, the right or the obligation to create more tethers and whatnot, and we all know those conspiracies that are floating around about how that happens. You know, it's going to be very transparent and clear. There's going to be incentives for people to create more DAI if there's a demand for DAI, and disincentives to reduce the supply when it's not needed. And all these things are market balancing and stabilizing mechanisms. So if we want to create $1,000 of DAI for whatever reason, we might get into that in the future, we have to back it. And at the moment, I'll just open up this tab here for currently open CDPs. So how does this work? So these collateralized debt positions. So we have DAI, but to back that, we have collateral, and we're sort of creating a debt, I guess. If you want to create some DAI out of thin air, you need to have it backed by more than 100, more than a 1-to-1 ratio. So at the moment, a lot of these ratios, the required ratio for Ethereum is 150%, but a lot of these loans that are open here have got far in excess of that. So they're playing it safe, basically. You know, you don't always have to, you know, whenever you take out a loan in real life, you don't have to push things to the limit. You're better to have too much money. Think of it as an offset account maybe. They're over collateralized. They're in no danger of getting liquidated. So if I want to create $1,000 of DAI, I need $1,500 or more of Ethereum, and that has to be in this pooled form. So it all goes into, think of it as a pool. It's one bunch of Ethereum. And again, there's lots of bells and whistles on this exchange. You don't necessarily have to get familiar with this. I just want to explain how this works if you actually want to participate in this system and create DAI. But you don't have to do this complicated stuff if you just want to use DAI. For example, the next time if you think we're having a big market correction, instead of sitting in Tether on an exchange, in the future you'll just be able to sell your coins, hopefully on an exchange, straight to DAI. And it's nice and easy. You know, you can send that DAI to your hardware wallet, sleep easy at night knowing that if you've got large amounts that you've sold, it's not on an exchange, okay? It's on your hardware wallet, the DAI ERC20 coin. So that's the first thing I just wanted to mention. Again, there's all the terminology here. I don't necessarily want to run through what lock and free, draw, wipe, shut, give and bite, all these terms, but it just has to do with these CDPs. Now the thing I do want to explain is what happens if we have a loan. So if we've got $1,000 of Dai we've created with $1,500 of Ethereum, so it's got more than that one-to-one backing for safety reasons. What happens if the value of Ethereum drops and drops? Okay, now that loan will get shut and called in, and there's penalties and fees that have to get paid. They have to get paid in Maker. Again, that gives that Maker token intrinsic value. That's why I own Maker, and I think it's got tremendous value going forward. But even in the event where we have a big market shock, if it drops below the actual one-to-one value, that's the next step that confuses people and is slightly complicated. All this Maker that's available from this total supply starts to get sold on market. So it's a disincentive for people to do this, okay? So if I'm a Maker holder, I want to vote to have a higher ratio for these debt positions for people that want to create Dai. If we think Bitcoin's more risky than Ethereum, we'll set the debt ratio even higher again. We get to decide all that. So that's why Maker is the governance token. But if we fall below that one-to-one ratio, they start just to sell Maker on all these different exchanges, okay? Decentralized exchanges, however else they want to sell it. Whatever buy orders are sitting on the order book for Maker, okay? They sell Maker, they get that Ethereum, and again, that then goes into the collateralization, the pool of money that's backing the Dai. Therefore, it gets it up. We make sure all those loans are now 100% backed. Again, this is all transparent on the blockchain, so even in a really black swan event, people can go, look, everything worked as it was meant to. Dai, the stable coin, is still trading at $1. It's still one-to-one backed. There's no conspiracies about whether or not Tether has that money in the bank. And yes, selling a lot of Maker to collateralize those loans will push down the price. So that's a disincentive. If we don't control this system well, the price of Maker falls. And again, if this system functions really well and everyone's really happy with the Dai, it overtakes Tether, it's used for pairs on exchanges for pricing and everything. If that happens and it's working well, the price of Maker is going to go up in the future. There's going to be lots of demand, lots of people paying those fees for it, all that sort of thing. So a few people have asked me, I think the other day I put out a tweet about the price of Maker going to over $1. That was a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I'll see if I can find this tweet here. It was only on one exchange where there was a huge demand for Dai and one order. The order books were too thin, and someone paid up to $1.17 here. That was just on one exchange that Dai stayed at $1 on every other exchange, basically. So, I was just sort of a bit tongue-in-cheek here that people are so keen for a Tether replacement. If people have something that's 100% transparent, they know it's backed. We now have Ether backing it, but we've already partnered with MakerDAO to have DigexDAO, to have gold backing it. More and more things are going to be backing this Dai, this stablecoin on the blockchain. We can always check that it's 100% backed or more. This is why I'm so excited about this project, guys. I know it's extremely complicated. I might take some questions now if you've got any other questions about it. But that's basically how it works. So we have, the more things we have for people to create Dai and backing these loans, the safer and safer it gets. So uncorrelated assets will cushion that fall. What's not to like about a stable coin that's on the blockchain to prove that it's 100% backed? Is the Perth Mint straight up in competition with their coin? I'm not exactly sure. So Perth Mint are making a gold-backed coin. That's not competition for MakerDAO. That's competition for DigexDAO. And there's a number of good gold-backed coins out there. So how does Maker earn fees? So that's to do with we have oracles and people that are helping to set the pricing mechanisms, and people that are basically, if those loans that get called in, okay, the loans that fall below the percentage ratios, when that Ethereum gets put up to be sold, okay, it actually will be sold at a slight discount. So we should see here, it's not on this dashboard here where I'm wanting. I thought it would be here, but there's basically a spread. So there'll be, say, a 3% spread. So you might be able to, those people that are balancing these books might get their Ethereum, the PETH, the pooled ETH, at a 3% discount. Okay, so that sort of think of it as going into an order book for people that need you to buy that Ethereum off them. And if you're a good actor in this ecosystem, you might get it at a 3% discount. So there's incentive to buy that pooled Ethereum off the market for Dai, and vice versa. So that's how these positions get liquidated. Why someone would be willing to step in and buy, because they're getting the assets that are backing that collateral at a discount to market rate, for example. Again, there's fees, there's penalties for if your collateral falls below, it might be a 13% penalty. So for a $1,000 loan, you might have a $130 fee, okay, for having a bad loan. That gets paid in Maker. I believe that all gets spread out to the Maker token holders and that sort of thing. So there is plenty of incentives. What am I doing up at 1 a.m? It is only 7 p.m. here in Australia. So guys, I'm happy to take a few questions about anything really in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. So great news for Power Ledger today. Hopefully you guys wrote out the volatility. So yesterday I did do that video talking about how I thought we were definitely going to get some relief from this meeting and the extremes in sentiment we were seeing. So Bitcoin price, I'll just pull up a 5-minute chart here, and while I've been talking, we've had a nice bounce off all these moving averages here. So that's good to see, guys. And really, we had that strong move off the low, a bit of a correction throughout the day while, you know, the United States sleep. They're just waking up soon, as is Europe, and we'll get into the day. Let's see what the traditional markets are doing. They've been on a roller coaster lately. Gold's held up relatively well. You guys know I'm a big fan of precious metals, gold and silver. Futures are down again, guys. So down 1%. Not good. Not good. Gold holding up fairly well throughout all of this. So guys, traditional markets are really being extremely volatile today, which we don't like to see. We don't like to see these people, the volatility funds that people should be making money for and are betting against and betting that the markets are going to go down and they want to make money, and then they turn around and just say, no, it's too volatile, that product didn't work. That's what we don't want to see, guys. That's what really frustrates me. You can't just let these markets go up and pretend that everything's all right and cozy, and then when they go the other direction, these people and these funds get closed. You get a margin call, and that's what really frustrates me, guys. So is there a need for a project like 10x if we have Request Network? There's a number of projects that are going for, you know, banking, loans. There's overlap, there's competition. Whoever does it best and does it well and builds their user base in a free market is going to capture market share. So can there be more than one player? Absolutely. But yeah, Request Network, it's not one I've done a fundamental analysis on yet, but it's certainly a good project. 10x, you know, Metal Pay I've covered on the channel, has had some good news lately. A lot of those, anything that required a banking license or card issuers has had a lot of trouble. Financial services based coins, I really hope that they can recover this year. There's ways around it, you know, Salt, Ethland, Dai now. Am I a fan of tokenized index funds? Guys, obviously I live and breathe this stuff. I would far prefer to actively manage and choose my favorite 20 coins. But if you've got friends and family that want to capture this space but can't be bothered at all, there's some great funds in Australia. I'll be talking about them more. I'm advising a couple of those. There's another one that I'm not advising that I had contact with yesterday. You know, the more the merrier, guys. The more people we get into crypto, the better. So if you want to, if maybe they're a bit lazy or they don't want to risk private keys and managing their crypto themselves, maybe an index fund, that's its use case. gut feeling if we're going higher or lower. Again, guys, I can't give financial advice. All I can tell you that what I'm doing is that I've laid all my funds in that I am willing to allocate into crypto that I had on the sidelines. I can't believe we've got this low. As I said, for me, fair value for the number of coins I own is higher than what they currently are, and that's just my personal opinion. As I said, the article in the Australian Financial Review today saying even Power Ledger themselves kind of scratch their head when their coin falls 70% because Bitcoin falls 70%. Funfair are doing an expo at the moment. Any gossip from that? I've been talking to Jez Sands. I'm trying to get him on the channel soon to do an interview. I love Funfair. I know they're delisted from Bittrex. I've spoken about why that is. It's nothing to worry about. It's on plenty of other exchanges, guys. Ethos, I don't like to give opinion on coins until I've at least read the white paper. I don't believe that's fair to the team. Neo, I can't believe Neo got down to $60-something I think yesterday, guys. Again, it was one I mentioned in that video would be a fantastic buy and rebound strongly. What are we, over $100 today? 0x looking good as well. Yep, love it. POWR, Restart Energy versus Power Ledger. I don't like to say one's better than another. I think they're actually POWR, from what I read, is going for quite a different angle to what Power Ledger's doing with asset germination and stuff like that. I haven't read much about Restart Energy yet. Again, I'm open to helping Australian projects, and I'm looking forward to meeting Haven tomorrow. I'll probably get them on the channel soon, guys, if you want that. Time frame for MakerDAO to take over Tether. Again, it's up for the market to decide. I will personally be using DAI from now on. Bitcoin going to drop again. I just touched on that. Thoughts on BitConnect? Avoid like the plague, guys. We've already seen BitConnect implode. Neo up 62% in 24 hours. Wow. Yep. Yeah, I'll probably review Haven. I'm a bit not disappointed, but it's frustrating when Ian Bellina tweets about something now that it just goes absolutely berserk. ICOs get sold out, Telegrams go insane, scammers look to get on board. Unfortunately, he's become that popular that it almost attracts too much attention now, guys. It's very hard to get into any projects that he recommends now. Yeah, I agree. So. Thanks for the $2 donation, Julio. Thoughts on the 4-hour inverse head and shoulders pattern. So let's have a look at that. Next question coming in. Have I researched Trinity? Smash that like button, guys. Thank you. That gets this up in the search results, as it does with all my videos, guys. So if you like one of my reviews I've done, a lot of them don't even appear in the search results. So, Funfair, if you Google or YouTube Funfair, unfortunately the bigger YouTube channels get their videos up higher. So if you can leave a like and a comment, that goes a long way to helping me grow the channel, guys. Trinity, which is I believe that's the Lightning Network for Neo. Is that the one you're talking about? I think all these second layer solutions, guys, I'm really excited about. So I'm not sure if Aslo's joking here, but saying putting life savings in BitConnect, guys. Don't let friends and family put their life savings. So this inverse head and shoulders pattern on the 4 hours. So if you're referring to what we're just forming now, we want this to get up here. And again, this would sort of match up with a few of these moving averages and longer term downtrend lines. And then we get back down to here and sort of retest 8,000. Then we'd break out, and again, a measured move from the top of the head to the neckline. If we were, and again, we haven't even really formed the head yet, if this is the pattern you're referring to, but that's the sort of thing we want to form when we want to form a higher low on the 4 hour, and then we'd have a really strong impulsive move, to around 12,000-13,000, and that would line up with my cycle brackets that are saying, you know, well, we should be bottoming about now, and we should be getting a push up if we're going to get one in the coming days. The best platform for accepting crypto. So I've covered travel by a bit in Australia, guys. One of my friends here in Tasmania has just added it today. I'd love to see every business in Australia accepting crypto, and they accept, you know, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, you know, a number of coins now, guys. They're not just Bitcoin, which is great. The semicircles I use, guys, I get a lot of questions about these. They're time cycles. They're down here. You have to custom align these. I'll do a video on how that all works in the future if you like. Any news on Blockgrain? So that's a great little Australian project. I'm advising. No news yet, guys. Again, some people forget that these projects and the ideas and that they take time. So as soon as someone hears the name, they want to know about an ICO and that sort of thing. So these things take time. Projects that have decided against doing an ICO and just trying to create a user market first, absolutely love it, guys. And I'll help. I'm trying to help as many Australian projects as I can. Projects that can launch without an ICO, that already have a cash flow, already have a user base. If they're, and again, that's, you know, I've covered a couple of those on the channel. It's fantastic. You don't always need an ICO and do a money grab if you've already got a working business model. Sometimes blockchain technology just helps what you've already got. This is the question I get 100 times a day, guys. So if you do have questions, you can get in touch with us on the Nuggets News Facebook page. We do one-on-ones for people for a small fee and that sort of thing, guys. But again, you're not really missing a lot. It's just for those that want to pick my brain a bit extra. I do hours and hours of free stuff here for you guys that you hopefully enjoy. So what do I expect the Australian government to do? I'd love the opportunity to speak to the Australian government personally, guys, and go in front of them at a hearing if anyone has the connections. The way that they spoke last night, if I can reason with the Australian government about nurturing innovation and that sort of thing, I would just absolutely jump at that opportunity, guys. ICO regulation in the US, unfortunately, yeah, there's a few small projects I'm helping, and one of the things we've got to do is just not allow US citizens to participate, which it sucks to be in the US. I do feel sorry for you guys. So we do have a group. I don't like to promote it. We are full at the moment. We're building a new website. Hopefully about 6 weeks away we'll have a new Nuggets News website. That's probably it for today, guys. My portfolio has taken a beating like everyone else. You know, I did manage to sell high for a number of coins and follow those basic rules that I encourage you to do. And then I did manage to dollar cost average on the way down, and the market went lower than I thought it was going to, as I spoke to you guys about. So plenty to like, guys. It's positive signs. Just finally, have a look at this daily bar, the biggest daily bar volume we've had since 2015 here. Again, it's just another sign that gives us likelihoods. Nothing in life is certain, but this increases the likelihood that that was the bottom. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll talk to you again soon. Cheers.